What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio Live. I'm going to be breaking down UFC Vegas 27, talking some DFS, talking some betting as well, looking at some lines, seeing what we can find. Coming off of an awful week last week, at least from a betting standpoint, DFS actually went pretty good. Almost got a takedown. I needed Muniz instead of Ketchup beating, but I think I had like the second best lineup possible. So was really, really close to getting a takedown. That would have been awesome, especially on a big card. But hopefully get one this week. Hopefully you guys did all right. Hopefully you guys made it out alive. Last week's card was insane, but really looking forward to this one as well. I think it's pretty solid. I think from a DraftKings perspective, it's going to be solid as well. Some spots do stick out from a betting perspective. We'll talk about all that. But before we get into it, if you guys can leave a like on the video, also subscribe to Pub Sports Radio. Almost at that 6,000 subscriber mark. So I think we're like less than 60 away. So maybe get it this weekend. That'd be sweet. What's up, everybody in the chat? What's up? Sosa, game plan time. I agree. Grateful Dude says fading Garbrandt's chin, or is it really back? Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. But yeah, that chin is definitely a concern. Jacksonville. So what's up, Zoe? How you doing? Hopefully you had a good week last week. Oliveira was the only good thing that happened at 262 for me. Hey, same thing. I had the under 2.5 and the under 3.5. Went pretty heavy on it. Apparently I should have went heavier on it. But yeah, those were like the only two things that went right, but at least something went right. You know what I mean? So definitely looking forward to this week. Uncle Weezy in the house. Let's get it this week. I agree. What's up, Ron? What's up, Big Brain? What's up? Hopefully you made it out alive last week. I almost did. What hurt the most was probably the Andrea Lee sub. Like, you train with Valentina Shevchenko every day of your life. You're getting subbed by Andrea Lee. I had Andrea Lee by decision. I also had a parlay with that fight going to decision. So that's kind of what hurt me the most. But overall, it was a tough card. But looking to bounce back this week for sure. All right, so with all that out of the way, we will get into the first fight of the night. And oh my goodness, we have a 9,500 Damir Ismagulov, which is going to be the highest priced on the slate. So we remember what happened last week to the highest priced on the slate, Gina Mazzani. For a second, it looked like she should have been priced the highest on the slate. She looked like she was minus 1,000, and then she completely gassed out, got knocked out. Damir Ismagulov, I mean, the guy is very, very good. This guy is talented. I like his striking. He's really well-rounded. He has a wrestling game. He has takedown defense. He's just one of those, he's good everywhere. I really like this guy. Going against Raphael Alves, who was supposed to fight Pat Sabatini, I think like a month ago, and the dude missed weight. It was something crazy. I think it was like he missed weight by like 13 or 14 pounds, something crazy like that. It was insane. Like, I think he like set a record or got close to a record of missing weight by the most amount of weight ever. So they finally they gave him another shot here. I was kind of worried the UFC would cut him after that, but they gave him another shot, and it's a really tough matchup. But Damir Ismagulov, like this guy, like I said, really well-rounded. He's 3-0 in the UFC, but the problem for me is we have not seen him in about 1 year and 8 months. Not sure what was going on. There's some rumors that he was getting married. He had some injuries, not completely 100% sure, but the layoff does concern me a little bit. But out of this fight, that's pretty much the only thing that concerns me. You take a look at Raphael Alves, and this is somebody that the striking defense isn't there. The chin's definitely not there. I've seen him get dropped a ton. He's been finishing all 9 of his losses. So I don't know what the ownership is going to be like for Ismagulov. I haven't done ownership projections yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be somewhat low owned based off the fact that he's the highest priced and based off the fact that he hasn't had any finishes in the UFC, 3 decision wins. But I think this is kind of a spot where he could get that finish. Like I said, Alves has never lost by decision in 28 fights. So he's never lost by decision in so many fights. So I think Ismagulov, a knockout, is really on the table here. And for that reason, I'll actually have some. It's going to be the first fight of the night. I think it'll be low owned. I think Ismagulov has a really good chance of finishing this fight. I'll play some. I don't love the price. I think there's better options, but I'll have some of them in my lineup. As far as like a parlay piece, we'll take a look at the odds now. So I personally do have him parlayed. I parlayed him at minus 530, and I kind of expected the line to get a little bit wider. So we saw it, minus 500, minus 550, minus 600. I kind of expected, honestly, to like the minus 700 range, but it looks like it's kind of stay around this like minus 600. So if you want to parlay them, I think even at this price, I think it's fine. Outside of an Alves early finish, first round, Ismagulov should probably win. And even then, like, his takedown defense is good. I don't really see Alves getting him down, but Alves is dangerous. He's dangerous in that first round. But after that first round, I do think Ismagulov does cruise. So Parlay piece for me. I wanted to take a look at the knockout prop, but the odds on that weren't fantastic. I thought might get a little bit better odds on that since he is, won by decision in all three of his UFC fights. But Ismagulov by knockout plus 215, that's just not good enough for me, really. But I do think he has a really good chance of winning by knockout. So give me Ismagulov for the first fight of the night. Maybe sprinkle some Alves if he won. He's cheap, 6,700. If he does win, it's probably in the first round. Maybe Ismagulov does have some cage rush, but I don't know. I like Ismagulov here. She was plus money too. We should have just took that. Yeah. What hurts the most was Ketchup beating by KO was like plus 600. Like that should have been a little sprinkle there. Alves has fragile legs too. He's a very fragile dude. I've seen him get dropped a ton. He's tough though. He's tough. Sosa says hello PayPal. But yeah, we'll move on to Uncle Weezy says, in Demir's 3 UFC fights, his opponents have averaged a 0.86 DraftKings points per minute against him. He has been so dominant. Punting with Alves is probably a bad idea. I'm kind of with you there. And you take a look at his striking defense within his 3 fights, 69% striking defense. Like that is unheard of. I think this guy is definitely has top 15, top 10 potential. Just would have liked to, see him be a little bit more active. But like I said, he's probably dealing with some injuries and all that good stuff. All right, next we have an interesting fight, I think, from a DraftKings perspective, because I haven't done ownership projections yet, but I kind of feel like this fight's going to go under-owned. Damir Hadzovic going against Yancy Medeiros, and 7,800 for Medeiros and 8,400 for Hadzovic. 34 years old is Hadzovic, and Medeiros is 33. And we'll kind of take a look at the finishing rates for these guys, and they're actually pretty solid finishers. Medeiros, 80% finish rate, 53% by knockout, 27% by submission. Damir has a 77% finish rate, 54% by knockout, 23% by submission. I wouldn't be shocked if there was a finish in this fight, and I think this fight's going to be like one of the lowest owned on the entire card. So that does draw some interest there for me. Medeiros has been knocked out 3 times. He's been submitted once as well. Damir has been submitted and knocked out before as well. So a finish would not surprise me. As far as picking a winner, this fight's very, very close. What I do like for Medeiros is, for one, he's the younger fighter. Not by much, but the younger fighter nonetheless. He does have a 5.5-inch reach advantage, which I do think is pretty big considering this fight's going to primarily play on the feet. So as far as a pick, going to be Medeiros, but I'll probably sprinkle both sides just because I think both are kind of live for like a sneaky finish at very low ownership. I just don't see many people playing this fight as a whole. I'm not going to go crazy on it, but especially in this price range, if anybody gets a finish in this fight, it's probably going to be optimal and nobody's going to have it. So for that reason, I'll sprinkle a little bit. Just don't even want to look at any bets for this one. I guess Medeiros, is tempting, but even then, like, money's starting to come in on him. He was plus 100 for a second. I really don't want to bet this fight either way. Let's see if the fight doesn't go to decision. Fight doesn't go to decision, plus 100. So the odds makers are kind of expecting a finish as well, in a way. Plus 130, plus 120, plus 125. Fight doesn't go to decision. Not terrible. I think we could see a finish here, but I'll pick Medeiros as far as a pick go. Just don't have a lot of confidence in that one, but I do think it gets it done. Smash a like. I agree. Let's get those likes up. Brady Bob, what's up, Vince? How you doing? But yeah, should be a fun fight there. I'll take Medeiros for the win. All right, next we have Joshua Kulabau going against Xiaonan. Kulabau 9,100. Xiaonan is 7,100. So taking a look at Xiaonan, doesn't officially say his age, but I saw a fight like 2 years ago where he was 21, so I kind of did the math. I think he's around 23, 24 years old. And he's one of those guys where we saw it for UFC 261 where they have a million fights and they're very young. He's only 23 years old. The guy has 25 fights. You go look at those fights. It's some very questionable competition. You see him fight Rong Zhu, who we saw on 261, and he got knocked out in like the first couple minutes of that fight. So I really don't know where Xiaonan is at. We saw fighters from China go 0-4. The last card they were on there. I wonder if the streak continues here with a possible Xiaonan loss. And I'm kind of leaning towards that. Like Joshua Kulabau, he's nothing special, but he looked really good in the Charles Jourdain fight. Like he looked much improved. He almost knocked out Charles Jourdain. He hurt him very, very bad, which was impressive in its own right. So I just don't know what I want to do with this fight. I'm definitely not pulling the trigger on Kulabau at that price tag. If you want to parlay him, I guess it's okay. I'm personally not going to. I think there's better parlay options, but it looks like some money's coming in on the Xiaonan. There's just some question marks for me with this Shah guy. Like, how good is he? Because from his tape, like, he looks pretty solid, good wrestling, decent striking. But when he fought somebody relevant in Rong Zhu, the dude got put out in a couple minutes. So I don't know. Hard to really see where these guys' skill level is at because they fight so many cans. But we'll definitely see. But I will be picking Josh Kulabau for the win. At 9,100, it's a ton. I just think there's better options. We'll take a look at the finish rate. Shah has been knocked out 1 time in 25 fights. He's been submitted 3 times. Kulabau with a 63% finish rate, all by knockout. So maybe Kulabau does knock him out, but I don't know. I'm not too comfortable with a ton of Kulabau. I got to sprinkle a little bit in. As far as Xiaonan, maybe a little bit of ownership on him. Like, nobody's going to play him. I see his ownership being very, very low. Haven't done the ownership projections yet, but I kind of feel like nobody's going to play him. So could be something to look at, but I do expect China to lose another fight here, to be honest. But I'll take Josh Kulabau for the win. The price is getting a little crazy, though. Demir and Nancy both allow tons of drafting points. That's what we'd like to hear. They are both at 3.88 DK points per minute allowed. Whoever wins could be optimal. A decision win at that rate is almost 90 points. There you go. And factoring in, there could be a finish as well. So, yeah, good point. Low ownership. I like it. These low fights usually score huge for DraftKings. The Kulang and Molina a couple weeks ago, yeah, Molina put up like, what, 120, 130? That was insane. So, yeah, I have a little bit of ownership on it. I don't want to go crazy on the Kulabau Shah fight, but maybe have a little bit. All right, next we have Bruno Silva going against Victor Rodriguez, and I am very high on Bruno Silva in this fight. The dude went on a 3-fight losing streak, but if you take a look at who this guy was fighting, like, he was fighting some really good competition, and he finally got a step down against JP Bays, and he destroyed him, knocked down Bays 3 times, even took him down and finished him in that 2nd round. But he fought Tagir Ulanbekov, who's a very good prospect, a fight that arguably, like, he could have won that fight. Like, I had a bet on Tagir, and I was scared for my life because I thought Bruno might have done enough to win. But he looked good in that fight, got beat by David Dvořák, somebody that's on this card, somebody that's a really good prospect in its own right, and then got submitted by Khalid Taha, which got overturned because I think Taha popped for something. But still, 3-fight losing streak, went against JP Bays, stepped down, dominated him, and this is a step down from JP Bays, in my opinion. I think this is a even bigger step down, going against Victor Rodriguez, who, you look at this guy's record, coming from the Alaskan fight scene, which I can't trash too much because the Beverly Hills Ninja came from there. But you take a look at this guy's fighting, and he's getting knocked out by some really questionable guys. He's getting submitted by some really questionable guys. Solid wrestling, but it's not really going to work here against Silva. Dangerous striker, 100% finish rate for Rodriguez. It's just he's been fighting some very, very, very questionable names. And then he goes into the UFC against Adrian Yanez, who's a fantastic fighter, don't get me wrong, but Yanez was able to finish him in that 1st round. I just think these 2 fighters are like, levels apart from each other. I think Silva's levels above him. I'd be shocked if Silva didn't just go out there and finish this guy within the 1st round and a half. So I like Silva quite a bit. BJJ black belt, very well-rounded, trading at a very good camp as well. We've seen that he has a ton of power, good volume. He does slow down as the fight goes on a little bit, but it seems like he's patching that up in his game. I just think there's a ton of upside with Silva in this fight going against Rodriguez, who I just don't think is UFC caliber. So I'm going to take Silva. I like the 9,300. I'll be having a decent amount of them on DraftKings. I think there's takedown upside. I think there's control time upside. I think there's, more than anything, finish upside as well for Silva. But I do like quite a bit of Silva. Rodriguez, if you want to throw a little bit of pump plays for Rodriguez, I think it's fine if you're doing multiple lineups. 100% finish rate. He's never seen the 3rd round. I don't expect him to see a 3rd round here either. So if you want to sprinkle in a little bit of Rodriguez, go for it. But I do think Silva does get it done. Taking a look at some of these odds here, the under 2.5 really, really interests me. Like I just said, like, Rodriguez has never been to a 3rd round. That's why I bet the Wright and Pickett fight does not start round 3 last week. It worked out kind of the same here. We have never seen Rodriguez get to the 3rd round. We've never seen him go to a decision. And with the styles of both guys, I really would be shocked if this fight seen the later rounds. Under 2.5, minus 160. Fight is a good decision, minus 165. Looks like a lot of money is coming in on that, minus 185 now. So people are definitely seeing what I'm seeing, expecting a finish. Some books even have the under 1.5 or the under set at 1.5, which I wouldn't go that far. But I think if you can get the 2.5, especially like minus 145. Like that's a pretty good line there. And as far as a parlay piece, I think Silva's fine as well. But yeah, pretty high on Bruno Silva this week to get the job done over Victor Rodriguez. I just think, Silva's very underrated. We saw him get a nice upset win his last fight against JP Buys, and I think Rodriguez probably shouldn't be in the UFC. Preston agrees. Victor Rodriguez, another guy that should not be in the UFC. Yep. I mean, he's an exciting fighter. He's just not that great. I'll take Silva here by TKO. I think he can win by whatever he wants. If he wants to get a submission, he can get it. If he wants to get a TKO, he can get it. Whatever he wants, really. Vince agrees. Silva is very active in DK scoring. He scores 3.59 DK points per minute, and that's in 3 out of 4 fights being losing efforts. Very high ceiling option this week. I'm right there with you. Rodriguez getting KO'd in Alaska fighting Cans makes him an easy fade. I'm with you there. Could he pull off the upset? Absolutely. It's a fight. Anything can happen. If he does, it's probably a first-round knockout, but I just don't think it's all that likely. Silva inside the distance. Yeah, I will bet Silva inside the distance as well. Yeah, interesting that at least it was yesterday, but Silva inside the distance was plus money at least yesterday. Let's see what it is now. Silva inside the distance. Yeah, money's coming on that. Open up plus 135, Silva inside the distance. That got hammered. Now minus 115, minus 105, plus 110. If you can get the plus 110 there, yeah, it's nice. But I do expect Silva to get it done inside the distance as well. All right. Yeah, we'll get to the next fight here. So now we have Claudia Silva going against Court McGee. So as far as a pick, I do like the Court McGee side, and we'll talk about why. But, from a DraftKings perspective, I'm probably looking at more of the Claudia Silva side because he has that first round upside, the finish upside. And if he does win, like I said, it's probably going to be in that first round. So we'll take a look at Claudia Silva, 71% finish rate by submission, 7% by knockout, 78% finish rate overall. The dude's very, very dangerous. Very dangerous, very high-level black belt. But the problem with Silva is he's dangerous in that first round. What I like about Court McGee, as far as picking a winner here, 29 fights, has never been submitted. Really good takedown defense, 63% it says, but it's really hard to hold this guy down. You go through his record, guys aren't just going out there controlling him. If he does get taken down, it's very, very hard to hold him down. So it comes down to, is Silva going to get that first round sub or not? We've seen, especially in Silva's last fight against James Krause, he could not get that early finish. He gassed out. Rounds 2 and rounds 3, he looked horrible. James Krause got hurt in that fight, and Silva still could not finish him. He was just so gassed. And then we saw, not in the Cole Williams fight, because he finished Cole Williams, who I don't think's in the UFC anymore. At least he shouldn't be. Finished him in that first round. But the Danny Roberts fight 2 years ago in 2019, same thing. He couldn't finish Roberts in that first round. He slows down bad in that second and third. Roberts, with terrible fight IQ, goes to the ground with him. He gets submitted, but still, Silva was gassed out. Court McGee, he's not great. He loses a ton, but what he does have is output. It lands about 5 significant strikes per minute, and what else he has is cardio, a ton of cardio. He can go a full 3 rounds. I just don't think Silva can. But the reason I do like Silva more from a DraftKings perspective is that first round upside. He's going to go out there in the first round, probably get takedowns. A submission could be on the table. It's just, if he does not get that submission, if he's not the first one to submit Court McGee, I do think he tires out and McGee wins rounds 2 and rounds 3, or maybe a late finish as well for McGee. But I just don't see McGee scoring that great. McGee's going to want to, not get takedowns. It's something he's not going to want to do. He's going to want to keep it standing, pick Silva apart for 3 rounds. That's his game plan. It's not going to score well on DK. Whereas Silva's game plan is going to be getting this fight down to the mat, getting that sub, getting that TKO, which is, more bound to score better. So as far as DraftKings goes, I'll be playing some Silva, not much McGee. But as far as a pick, it's going to be McGee to survive that first round. If you are on the Silva side, maybe take a look at the first round sub prop, which I'm not sure what it is. I can check, but Silva first round sub, that's probably how he went. It's hard to see him winning a decision. It's hard to see him winning 2 out of 3 rounds, and they don't have props on it. But Silva wins in round 1 is plus 500. McGee by decision plus 210. That's how I think he gets it done there. But yeah, if you're on Silva, probably the round 1 prop, because I really do think this guy has 1 round of gas. He's 38 years old, about to be 39. He's had some tough weight cuts, and he just has not looked great. So neither has McGee, but I do think he has what it takes to win this fight. Should be a really fun one though. Silva inside the distance. Talked about that one as well. I can't believe Hannibal beat Leon Edwards. Yeah, that was Leon Edwards' first fight in the UFC, I believe. Also can't believe Court lost to Ben Saunders. Yeah, that's terrible. I'm staying far away from this one. Yeah, so I do like Court McGee as a pick, but DFS, I think you got to sprinkle in a little bit of Silva just because of that first round upside. Bruno Silva, plus 185 inside the distance. That's pretty solid. Court McGee is priced same price as James Krause against Silva. No chance I'm betting it. Probably not the fight to bet, but McGee is a tank. Not really. But stylistically, I think this is a fight he should win. But he does lose a ton, so don't be shocked. But yeah, Claudia Silva is like almost 39. He turns 39 in a couple months. All right, next we have the People's Main Event. Before we get into it, if you guys can leave a like on the video, let's get those likes up. Also subscribe. Let's get to 6K by the end of the week. Very, very doable there. But yeah, the People's Main Event. Ben Rothwell going against Chris Barnett, and this fight is absolutely hilarious. And I'll tell you what, Chris Barnett, his last win to make into the UFC was against a 0-0 guy making his pro MMA debut. He beats him, and it's just crazy. Like, he just fought an 0-0 guy, and then you're going up against someone in Ben Rothwell who has a ton of experience, a ton of fights, has been through it all. Yes, he's not great anymore, but still, I just think he's levels above Chris Barnett in this fight. You take a look at Chris Barnett, he's 5'9". It's not often at all that we see a 5'9" heavyweight. Rothwell is going to have like a 7 or 8 inch height advantage, which is just unreal. Like, I can't wait to see the weigh-ins. Like, the weigh-ins are going to be laughable because Rothwell is going to be so much bigger. But in all honesty, like, Rothwell should win this fight, and he should win this fight inside the distance. It would be, I don't know, I'd be kind of surprised if he did not go out there and just starch this guy, whether it's an early knockout or a submission. If Rothwell uses his ground game here, it's an insta submission. Like, Barnett has no idea what he's doing on the mat. He gives up his back all the time. If Rothwell uses his takedowns and his submission game, it's an insta sub. I just don't know if Rothwell will do that. Even then, like, knocking him out is not, it can happen for sure as well. Barnett, you take a look at his record, it is nothing but cans. But when he does fight somebody of somewhat relevance, he loses. This is a fight that Rothwell should win. Rothwell is what, like minus 300 now? Yeah, minus 300 on the money line. It's heavyweights. Anything can happen. But what I like about Rothwell is in, 52 fights, 51 fights, he's only been knocked out twice. And think about how crazy that is. A heavyweight with 52 fights has only been knocked out twice. This guy is very durable. I think that will help him out in this fight quite a bit. He's not the same Ben Rothwell, but even, half of the Ben Rothwell we used to know could beat Chris Barnett here, in my opinion. Taking a look at some odds here, I'm very tempted. I'm very tempted in Ben Rothwell wins inside the distance. Like, you can't finish Chris Barnett. Like, I'd be surprised if he didn't. Like, he absolutely should. Like, Rothwell's been fighting the better level of competition by a mile. Rothwell inside the distance plus 115. Like, that's really tempting to me. The only thing that's holding me back is Rothwell's like 40. He's not great anymore. He has no gas tank, but still, he still knocked out Struve a couple years ago. He beat OSP, so he's still got something left. Like, you should be able to finish Chris Barnett with no problem. These are interesting. Rothwell wins in round 1, plus 230, plus 300. I think if he does win, it's probably in round 1, maybe round 2. I don't really see a round 3 finish for Rothwell. Rothwell wins in round 2, plus 550. They don't have the, oh yeah, they do. Rothwell by KO, plus 125. Rothwell by submission, plus 800, plus 1100. I think both those are on the table. But yeah, really tempted by that Rothwell inside the distance. Like, if you can't finish this guy, Rothwell, it is time to absolutely hang them up. Like, this is a fight. It should be an easy finish. Get in, get out, one of those. As far as the DraftKings, 9,200, I'm going to be playing a decent amount of Ben Rothwell, as ugly as it sounds, but I really do think he starches him in the first round with a submission or a knockout. But it should be a fun fight. It should be a hilarious fight, actually. Tank as in moving forward and plowing. True. Chris Barnett's breakdancing is on point. Yes, it is. What's up, the MMA gangster? I got Big Ben here. I'm with you there. Demir, Joshua, and Rothwell parlay. I think Ben's somewhat parlayable this week. Iffy on Kulabau, but Demir, Rothwell, Silva could be a nice parlay. But I do think all 4 of those get it done. I'll go with Josh Barnett's cousin by sub. I got Big Ben here. He might go for the inside the distance. I agree with that. We shall see. Yeah, I'm close to pulling the trigger. I just don't want to bet on like a 40-year-old Rothwell at this point in his career. But then again, I bet on a 40-year-old Jacare, so I might as well. I'll take Clint's dad. Yeah, Clint's dad. Rothwell loves throwing 4 punches and clinching against the cage. Yeah, I mean, he should just let his hands go. The finish will come to him here. Apex so small cage. Yeah, for sure. These big guys in a small cage is going to be pretty hilarious. What's up, General? How you doing? I'll take Rothwell out and put Bruno in. Not a terrible idea. I mean, I'm not parlaying Rothwell personally, but I wouldn't hate you if you did. I do think this is a winnable fight. Hey, Brady, great analysis. Can you give what the money line should be in each fight? I think this one in particular is about correct. Honestly, you could probably make Rothwell a bigger favorite. Hermansson and Spencer double. I like them both. I want to bet Algio, but at that line, I wouldn't want to foot the bill. Foot the bill. I don't get it. If I knew I was going to have my last UFC fight, I would do steroids to go out like a monster and up my value for other brands. Interesting, Sosa. Interesting. But then you could get like caught and then like a couple years suspension. I don't know. Anyway, next we have a very tough fight to call, in my opinion. Bill Algio going against Ricardo Ramos. This is a fight that's pretty much 50-50. From a DraftKings perspective, I think it's somewhat interesting just because of the styles of both guys, especially Algio. Like Algio, you take a look at his fights thus far, and he throws a lot of volume. He throws a ton of volume, landing about 7 significant strikes per minute, but he also gets taken down quite a bit. He got taken down 3 times in the Contender Series, got taken down 5 times by Ricardo Lamas. He got taken down 4 times by Spike Carlisle. He's very hittable, 38% striking defense. It's just a tough fight to call because I think Algio has that upside with the volume, but I think Ramos has that upside with the potential takedowns in the ground game. Like Algio is a black belt himself, but I do think that Ramos is the better grappler in this fight. Take a look at the salaries on DraftKings. You're getting Ramos as a nice underdog, 7,700. I quite like that, but I'm definitely going to be playing both sides in this fight. I think both guys have potential to score pretty well. Maybe there could be a finish. We've seen Ramos finished a couple times now, but he's been knocked out 2 times. He's been submitted once as well. So Ramos has never lost by decision. So I could maybe see an Algio finish. Algio has been submitted 2 times himself. Not recently, but still submitted 2 times himself nonetheless. But yeah, I feel like this fight can, score pretty well in its own right. I'll have both sides. I like the underdog play of Ricardo Ramos, 7,700 on DraftKings. From a betting perspective, I'm absolutely going to pass. We'll take a look at the odds for fight doesn't go to decision. Fight doesn't go to decision, plus 145. It's interesting. It's interesting. Like I said, Ramos has never lost by decision. Both of his losses are coming by finish. Algio has been submitted 2 times himself. I don't hate the fight doesn't go to decision, but really I just want to sit back and watch this fight. But my ownership will be on the DraftKings side. Probably a little bit more Ramos because he's an underdog. You get $800 savings, but I think both plays are pretty solid. I think the winner does score pretty good. Ramos, Carlos on Ramos. Agree 50-50. Yeah, I think this can go either way. I think it's going to be a really close fight. The odds are weird on this fight. This fight should be a pick'em. It's 50-50. I 100% agree. This fight is tough to call, 50-50 fight. We see Algio open at minus 125, currently minus 120. I don't know. I think the line will stay about right where it's at. But yeah, it definitely should be a pick'em. I agree with you there. I'm going to go to the casino and play it. Nice. Ramo loses to a good Lerone Murphy, and now he's a dog versus crazy, right? Crazy. He fights really good competition too. Like you look throughout his career, and he's fighting some really, really solid competition. He's fought Eduardo Garagori's not great, but Ayman Zahabi's decent. Syed Nurmagomedov's decent. Journey Newsom's okay. Lerone Murphy's really good. So he's fighting some good competition. But yeah, crazy, right? You lose to Lerone Murphy, now you're a dog against Algio. Should be a good fight, though. I think Ramos should be the fave in this fight. Probably slight fave, but I think a pick'em's about right. Sorry, but Shahbazyan is getting subbed in the third when he's tired. We'll talk about that soon. Edmen's about to knock the jack out of Hermansson. Maybe. Algio's fights have been crazy high scoring. Yes, sir. His fights average 150 DraftKings points. Next highest on the card is mid-120s. Nice. So yeah, definitely a fight you're going to want to target. I'm curious to see what the ownership's going to be on that one as well. Ramos by decision. Yeah, I don't hate it. All of Algio's recent losses are names. Lamas, true, but a retiring Lamas. But yeah, I get it. Yeah, both guys, it's a tough fight. All right, so now we'll get into the real people's main event. This is probably the second best fight on the card, probably behind Font and Garbrandt. We have Jack Hermansson against Edmen Shahbazyan, which probably should be co-main event. I don't see why it shouldn't be co-main event here. But yeah, this is a fight that you're going to want to have exposure to on DraftKings. As far as a pick, I'll go Hermansson, but I fully know that he can very well get knocked out in the first round. Shahbazyan has 11 wins, 10 of those coming in the first round, 9 of those coming by first-round knockout. He's very dangerous. He got a little bit exposed in his last fight against Brunson, but Hermansson has been knocked out before. He's been knocked out a good 2 or 3 times. We've seen him rocked. We saw him dropped in the Marvin Vettori fight, his last fight. So I think Edmen Shahbazyan is one of the better underdog plays on DraftKings at 7,300. But with that said, you're going to want to have some Jack Hermansson too. Like if Jack Hermansson comes out here, gets takedowns, extends this fight, get it past first round, I think Hermansson's very live for a win. It's just he needs to survive that first round. We've seen what happens when Shahbazyan gets past that first round, and it's not pretty. The cardio is not great. I'm sure he's making some adjustments. He's young, but Hermansson needs to survive that first round. So I'm going to be playing both sides. Shahbazyan's going to be one of my highest owned dogs here. Like he's a very, very solid play to look at because if he does win, it's going to be in the first round more than likely. And then Hermansson 8,900. If he does win, it's going to be based off of takedowns, control time, and probably a finish himself. So we'll take a look at the props here. I'm not betting either side either way, but there are some props I do like. If you are on the Edmen Shahbazyan side, I think Shahbazyan wins in round 1 could be decent, which is plus 325, plus 500. Like that's not terrible. Like that's how he wins. Shahbazyan's had the distance plus 225. If you're on the Shahbazyan side, that's not terrible. So this kind of makes me upset. So I bet the under 2.5 a couple weeks ago. My book voided the bet because the fight was pushed back a week. And then they open up the line at 1.5, over under 1.5 rounds. So I had the under 2.5 at like minus 165. So I'm going to be waiting for the alternate under, which if I can get minus 160 on that, I would take that all day. But my book does not have it open yet. But yeah, if you can get the under 2.5 rounds at minus 160, like that's probably a good bet. Shahbazyan's went to a decision 1 time in his career. Shahbazyan's been to the 3rd round only 2 times in his career. Other than that, it's first round finishes. So yeah, under 2.5 looks good. Even the fight doesn't get to decision. Like I might be laying the chalk on that minus 210. I really don't hate that minus 205, but I'm going to be waiting for the alternative under 2.5. If I can get it like minus 160, minus 170, I'm going to hop on that for sure. But I do think someone gets finished in this fight, whether it's Shahbazyan early or Hermansson in that 2nd or 3rd round. But I do think a finish does happen. Really good fight. They're really looking forward to it. I think it's one of the best fights on the card, if not probably the best fight. How did Silva make it to the judges' card against Kraus? So this is right. Kraus did get injured. I forget what happened. Was it his leg or his ankle? But it was pretty embarrassing. Like Kraus was still outstriking Silva with like a broken leg. It was hilarious. Edmen has only lost to 1 guy. Hermansson has lost to 6 guys. Enough said. I guess you could look at it like that. But Hermansson does lose to some very, very, very good competition. We'll take a look at who Hermansson's lost to. Marvin Vettori, no shame in that. Jared Cannonier, no shame in that. Thiago Santos, no shame in that. And Cesar Ferreira, no shame in that. Those are his 4 losses in the UFC. Cesar Ferreira, Thiago Santos, Jared Cannonier, Marvin Vittori. So like the really, really good guys, really good guys. But you're right. Edmen only has one loss. Tough fight. I'm going to take a Jack seat on this one. I like it. I was a bit high on Muniz last week. I am liking Edmen this week. Yeah, he's a very big underdog on DraftKings, 7,300. I'll be having a ton. I got Hermansson inside the distance, left Shahbazyan, but he sucked in the Brunson fight. Yeah, he did not look great. Edmen has the highest work rate on the card, 5.02 DraftKings points per minute, and Jack is at 3.44, which is also high. Should be a great fight to target with a high chance of finishing inside the distance. I do agree. Best win is Tavares. If he loses to Amari Akhmedov, what is keeping him in the rankings? Jack is on fire. Yeah, Jack's always on fire. Hermansson is nowhere. Oh, man, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say he's nowhere near Brunson. But I did expect Shahbazyan to go out there and take Brunson's head off for sure. Edmen value, plus 135. I mean, I thought he was like a bigger dog earlier in the week. I think more money's coming in on him. Shahbazyan, plus 130, plus 135. Guess not. So, yeah, plus 135. Yeah, if you're on Edmen, might as well take the inside the distance, get a better line. I think it's like plus 225. But I'm just going to take the under 2.5, I think. It covers both sides. Like, if Edmen gets the first-round knockout, fantastic. If he does not get the first-round knockout and gasses out and Hermansson submits him, fantastic. I think the under is probably the way to go. What's up, Canadian Bacon? How you doing? Is it bad to say I would take Jack over Brunson? No, I'd take Hermansson over Brunson. All right, so we'll get into the next fight here. We have David Dvořák going against Raulian Paiva. Yeah, I'll keep it short here. From a DraftKings perspective, not much interest in this one at all. I think Dvořák does get it done. I really like his skill set. It's just 8,800 for a guy that has 0 takedowns thus far in the UFC, which maybe he switches that up here. On the regional scene, he had shown some good wrestling, but probably stays standing, probably doesn't get a finish. You take a look at Paiva, 35% finish rate for Paiva. I don't see Paiva getting a finish. If anybody gets a finish in this fight, it's going to be Dvořák, but even then, I just don't see it happening. I think Dvořák probably cruises to a decision here. So from a DraftKings perspective, I think it's a pretty easy pass for me personally. As far as a betting perspective, the line is tempting on Dvořák. I just feel like this fight's going to play out close. Minus 145, honestly, it's not terrible. Opened up minus 205 for some reason. But I really thought that Paiva lost his last fight against Saugas Sumakulov. Like, that shocked me, really. That shocked me. Like, I just don't see how he won that fight. So in the first round, he outstruck Saugas 21-19. In the second round, he got outstruck 27-16. In the third round, he got outstruck 20-15. And he got taken down 2 times. Like, I don't know. I thought he lost that fight. But I'll take Dvořák. Not much ownership for DraftKings. No bet, unless the line comes down, like, significantly. If I can get Dvořák at, like, minus 120, maybe. But I just don't see that happening. I think more money probably does come in on the Dvořák side. But give me Dvořák. No interest in Paiva on DraftKings either. I know he's a dog, but no finishing upside, no takedown upside for Paiva as well. I like Dvořák to get it done. What's up, Danny? How you doing? Hopefully you did well last week. Till's going to sleep Brunson in August. I'm kind of with you there. Preston. I'm curious to see what that line's going to be. Brunson's going to hump him like he does everyone else. Till won't be able to stay standing. Yeah, definitely thought he lost that one. Yeah, I'm with you. I thought he lost it as well. I haven't got any puns for Dvořák. Sorry. I don't blame you. That'd be tough. Low work rates for both these guys. Stay away in DraftKings, 2.37 and 2.38 DK points per minute. That's terrible. Easy fade. I like when my reads line up with Wheezy stats. That's always nice. But yeah, I agree, Wheezy. Something I don't really want to target. No, I didn't. Hey, that's fine, man. Like, I don't think anybody had a good week. If you had a good week last week, it's insane. I got crushed. I know a lot of people that got crushed. It was a tough card, but hopefully bounce it back this week. All right, next we have an interesting fight here. Felicia Spencer going against Norma Dumont. First look, I was like, man, why is Spencer only like minus 160? At the time, she's like minus 140. I was like, why? And then you kind of look into it and you're like, okay, I kind of see why. I mean, there's a lot of question marks with Norma Dumont. She has 6 fights. You take a look at her tape. I went through her whole career, and there's no evidence of her getting taken down. Her takedown defense looks good. There's no evidence of her being off her back. So it's kind of like you're blindly thinking that Spencer does get it down to the mat. And that's kind of the way I'm heading. I think Spencer's grappling is superior. She's a black belt in BJJ, I do believe. Norma Dumont, decent grappler herself, a brown belt. But I do think Spencer's grappling is next level. Her wrestling's okay. But I think if she can't get on top, she'll have success. It's just I've never seen Dumont's takedown defense get tested. But then again, she hasn't really fought any great competition. So I do think Spencer gets her down. Don't think she subs her, but I think she can, rack up some control time, some takedowns. On the feet, I'm very concerned for Spencer. Her striking's not that great. She is very durable. She survived 8 total rounds with Cyborg and Nunez, but her striking's not that great. I think Dumont's the better striker. But I kind of have some interest in the Spencer side on DraftKings. I'm not sure how owned she's going to be, but she's going to get this fight down to the mat. Wrestler, grapplers score very, very high on DraftKings. If she can take down Dumont, get some control time, really grind this fight out, I think that Spencer's gas tank is really good. Dumont's is a little bit questionable. So I can see maybe a late submission or just, really working that ground game, getting the control time, maybe taking her back. Spencer has really good back takes. So I kind of like Spencer on DraftKings. As long as she's not crazy owned, I kind of have some serious interest. I don't think she'll be crazy owned. I haven't done the ownership projections yet, but first look, I'm kind of pretty high on Spencer from DraftKings. As far as a bet goes, I'm going to stay away just because there is a lot of unknowns about Norma Dumont. I did like what I saw from her against Ashley Evans-Smith, but then again, that's Ashley Evans-Smith. So I'm going to take Spencer from a DraftKings perspective. From the money line, it's going to be a pass for me. I know a lot of people taking a shot on Spencer. I mean, I don't hate it. It's just, I don't know. What if Dumont has really good takedown defense and keeps it standing, then Spencer is screwed. So I just don't know. So it's kind of like a shot in the dark in my opinion. But I do think Spencer gets it done, probably by decision. Spencer by submission is plus 300. Not terrible, but I will be taking a look at Spencer for sure on DraftKings just due to the fact that she has a ton of upside with the grappling. Dumont, Spencer, sneaky under for me. Yeah, the only thing with that is just how durable Spencer is. She can take a shot. She took Amanda Nunez, everything she has. She took everything Cyborg had. That's the only thing for me. But I think if there's a finish, it's going to be Spencer. Maybe getting a sub or a TKO, I can definitely see that. If Dumont does gas out, especially with the pace that Spencer's going to put on, yeah, I can see that. I can see a finish. Spencer minus 160 is a great gift. I would bet big on Felicia. Could make me rich. It could. It could. You take a look at the Tapology predictions, and 92% are going with Spencer. It's just weird seeing the line this low. I think Felicia has this one. I'm with you there. Judging MMA is starting to go towards boxing. Corrupt judges ruining fighters' careers and stealing people's bet money. Yeah. What do you guys think of the Viviane and Chukagian fight? That got me as well. I had Viviane up 2-1. I thought she won the first round. I thought she clearly won the second round, but yeah, Chuk 30-27 was pretty interesting. I just don't see in what world Chuk won 3 rounds in that fight. But you're right. What's up, Razor? How you doing? I like Spencer a lot on this one. What's up, Connor? How you doing? Dumont was holding her own against versus Anderson, and it was a caught with 1 punch, but had her controlled against the fence for some time until the 1 punch got her. That is true. Already bet on Spencer. Yeah, what line did you get, Dandy? Because she's minus 160. I remember she was minus 145, and now I was very tempted. So hopefully you got a good line there. Even minus 160, in hindsight, it probably does look like a really good line there. 94% of the money has come in on Dumont. If that's true, that is very weird. That is very weird because I see everybody on Spencer. I don't know one person that's picking Dumont. So if 94% of the money's coming on Dumont, that's weird. Mostly from one source in Brazil. Maybe Brazil knows something. Maybe Brazil knows something that we don't. Norma win. Okay, we got somebody on Norma. There we go. I agree. Let's hit that like button. Let's get those likes up. If Felicia finished Megan Anderson, she can finish any featherweight. Yeah, I think she can finish. Spencer abused. Yes, she did. She finished her in the first round. I remember that fight. I think Spencer was an underdog as well. It was crazy. Chuk 30-27. Yeah, that was insane. I can understand maybe a 29-28. That's fine. First round was close, but 30-27. Like the second round, how can you give that to Chuck? Like she was mounted. She was mounted. It's just crazy. Love Spencer here. I think the reason money is coming in on Norma is because she has 100% takedown defense. She's only defended 3 takedowns, though. I'm betting Spencer. Yeah, probably a decent bet. It's just I'd have liked to see her takedown defense get tested on the regional scene and stuff like that. From what I've seen, her takedown defense looks good. It's just she's fought nobody's other than Ashley Evans Smith and Megan Anderson. 29-28. I agree with that. Dumont is going to surprise some folks. I picked Araujo a decision, but I knew Chuck was going to win a decision. It's just what she does. Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Chuck did enough to win. Give the lady credit. Yeah, I thought she lost, but minus 150, nice line. Looks like a lot of money's coming in on her as of late. If the line goes back down, I'll take a look at it. Yeah, Grundy 30-27 was probably a worse scorecard. Felicia is good. It went 5 rounds with Nunez. Megan Anderson got KO'd. Megan got KO'd by Nunez in less than a minute. That's true. Norma wins. I have inside information. If you'd like to share that, I'd like to hear what it is. Norma is on the juice. She will have a huge strength advantage. I'm Brazilian. I know what I'm saying. I don't know, Nick. Can we trust you? I don't know. How did one judge give Lando 30-27 and another give Grundy 30-27? I have no clue. Judges are terrible, man. Smash a like. I agree. All right, so we'll get to the next fight. We have an interesting fight. Justin Tafa going against Jared Vanderaa, a fight that you're going to want to target on DraftKings, probably from both sides. Like I don't see this going the distance. Tafa, 100% finish rate. Vanderaa, 90% finish rate. And kind of digging into this one, I was kind of surprised. Like, you take a look at Tafa, I think there's some serious holes in his game that have not been tested. You take a look at him on the regional scene, he has been taken down. I saw him get reversed. And when he's on his back, he's an absolute fish out of water. He has no idea what he's doing. And it's interesting to come to find out Jared Vanderaa is, a black belt. Has some submissions on his record. He has very good ground and pound. If Vanderaa can get this fight on the mat, I think he has a serious, good chance of winning. It's just on the feet, he's probably going to get knocked out. Tafa is the much better striker. He's much faster. Vanderaa, very slow, not much power on the feet, but Vandeera's ground and pound is phenomenal. Some submissions on his record, like I said. So I think if Vanderaa can get this down to the mat, he has a serious chance of winning. I'll have both sides. Tafa, 9,000, I'll have a lot. I think he has first-round knockout upside. Vanderaa, as a pump play, I don't think it's the worst option in the world. You see a lot of times in heavyweight fights, you've got to play both sides because in heavyweight fights, anything can happen. And I think one of those things could be a Vanderaa takedown, and I think one takedown is all it needs for Vanderaa. So I think Vanderaa is a good pump play. I think Tafa, 9,000, that's fine as well. I think both guys have finished upside. Taking a look at the fight doesn't go to decision line, we have minus 325. So, yeah, this is definitely a fight you're going to want to target either way. Really liking the price for Vanderaa on DraftKings, 7,200. I think it's a good pump play there. As far as the money line, I would not recommend parlaying Tafa ever at this price. I would never recommend playing him straight. Let's see. The under is set at 1.5. Even then, I don't know. We see a lot of times where these heavyweight fights just, sneak over the over. They just get so tired, and we just see it over and over again. So I wouldn't even mess with the unders. I'd probably just sit back and watch this fight from a betting perspective. From DraftKings, you're probably going to want to, have a decent amount of exposure. I think there's a good chance either guy can get finished here, but it should be a fun fight for as long as it lasts. Viv should have pulled the trigger more. I blame her. She had the tools to get the job done and didn't do it. Yeah, she had nothing left in that third round. Source, trust me, dude. Heard she's mentioned 225. Interesting. Fading Tafa in this one, not a terrible idea. Not a terrible idea. Fade this fight, not a terrible idea. I'm definitely fading it from a betting perspective, 100%. Look at Tafa round one. Yep. I think both guys are alive for round one. Tafa fought stupid against De Castro, running with his hands down and got KO'd. Then he got robbed against Philippe. The man could be undefeated. Yeah, I didn't think Philippe won that fight. Under 1.5, minus 115 is decent. It's not terrible. Carla, Jan to go the distance. Solid bet. I'd say it's solid, but it's like minus 400. Fading on DK. No, I'm not. I think both guys can finish in that first round. But from a betting perspective, I'm fading it 100%. I'm not touching this fight from a betting perspective. But DK, yeah, DK, I do want some ownership. Heavyweights that can finish. I think combined they have like on average a 95% finish rate. Just in time to fade this fight. I agree, Jack, 100%. Wasn't he about to fight in the PFL? Tafa, I'm not 100% sure. De Castro is terrible. Yeah, he got cut. He got cut. And De Castro knocked out Tafa. So, yeah, not a good look. All right, so the co-main event, like I said, I think it should have been Hermansson Shahbazyan instead, but instead we have Xiaonan going against Carla Esparza. And this fight is so frustrating because we all know what's going to happen. Jan's going to win the fight. She's going to, get the more damage. She's going to outstrike Esparza by a ton of significant strikes. But Esparza is going to take down Jan a couple times each round, lay on top of her, do nothing. And I just don't know what the judges are going to score. Like, we don't know what these judges. This is 100% going to decision. Are they going to favor the wrestling of Esparza, the top control? Or are they going to favor the damage, the strikes of Jan? We just don't know. These judges are so inconsistent. So I'm passing. I'm not betting on this fight. I know a lot of people took Esparza at a really good price. Like, the money has came in on Esparza, and probably for a good reason. Like, plus 160, yeah. Plus 140, yeah. Plus 105, I don't have much interest there. I think this is a close fight. Honestly, like, flip a coin. Like, seriously, like, flip a coin. Esparza is going to get a few takedowns. She's going to do nothing with those takedowns. What are the judges going to score? Are they going to favor the wrestling? Are they going to favor the striking? I think it's very close. I don't know. But I'm not betting this fight at all. At all. So, but I do pick Jan to win. I do think Jan is going to land the more strikes, land the more damage. We've seen Esparza almost lose a fight when she was on top for like a good 10 minutes against Marina Rodriguez. She was on top for the majority of that fight and still almost lost the fight just by getting beat up from bottom. Like, she does nothing. Like, look at her significant strikes. She lands only 2.29. Jan lands almost triple that. So, I don't know. Tough fight to call. As far as DraftKings goes, 8,600, I'm not going to be touching for Jan. Esparza is very durable. I don't think Jan knocks her out. Jan is probably on her back for at least, 3, 4, 5 minutes of this fight. And she's not going to take down Esparza, you wouldn't think. So I'm not going to be playing much Jan. Esparza, I do have some interest, especially with the new DraftKings scoring system. She's going to get takedowns, control time. It's just, she's not going to throw anything. So this could be a fight where you could probably honestly just fade it. It's hard to see this one finding the optimal lineup outside of Esparza getting a ton of control time, a ton of takedowns, but I don't know. But as far as a pick, I'll go Jan to win the fight. It's just I don't know what the judges are going to think. We've seen the judges, more so favor the damage and the striking as of late. So maybe they'll be consistent and go with that here. I just don't know. Carla Esparza can, get a takedown at the end of the round after getting beat up, and a judge can score it for that round. I don't know. But I'll take Jan, just not confident. You can't be confident in this fight either way. Let's see what we got in the chat here. Rafa would have whipped the Castro if they ever fought again. I agree with that. Never lay a minus 185 on a guy who lost to Jorgen. I agree with that. Jan by decision plus 150. I agree with that. Whatever fighter you like, just bet by decision. Esparza, just like Chuck, another fighter I lose money on all the time. Yeah, exactly. Chuck, yeah, good comparison there for sure. Yeah, the judging has been a bit odd in Texas and in Vegas. It hopefully gets better. I hope it gets better. I mean, it can't get any worse. That's how I like to look at it. Behind every great Jan, there's a Carla Esparza by decision. I wouldn't be shocked. Get Jan after the first takedown. She will be plus money. That's true. We'd be pubbing, boys. We'd be pubbing indeed. Seeing how Jan did Carolina's face, I got Jan by decision. Like, yeah, she's going to win the fight. She's going to win the fight. She's going to do the more damage. She's going to land the more strikes. It's just, are the judges going to think she won the fight? I don't know. I just don't want to get involved in that. But yeah, Nick threw out the Jan by decision plus 150. Like, that's kind of tempting. Smart movement. Esparza fights are dangerous for betting. Smart movement, probably. I mean, this fight can go either way. Carla gets so many questionable decisions, hard to pick against her. Agreed. Fight goes to decision, a lovely parlay piece, whatever their price. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. But yeah, solid parlay piece. Solid parlay piece that is something crazy. Not terrible. Minus 335. I was kind of expecting like minus 400. Yeah, it's not horrible. But yeah, I'm with you, Weezy. Solid parlay piece indeed. Clint got chucked. I got chucked. A lot of people got chucked. And the sad thing is I was expecting to get probably chucked. I thought that it'd be a close fight. I thought that I'd think that Aryuja would win round 1 and 2, lose the third. That's exactly what happened. But the judges gave it a 30-27 chuck. Yawn decision. I'm kind of with you there. Figured it out. It was Justin Willis that had a PFL fight canceled, not Tafa yet. Justin Willis was supposed to fight. All right, guys, 70 in here. If you guys can hit the like button before we get into this main event, break it down, that would be sweet. Also, subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Going to be here every Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, getting out some early content for you guys. So a like would be very, 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 very appreciated. And hello, AB. How you doing? All right, so main event of the evening. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this fight a ton. We have Rob Font going against Cody Garbrandt. Some things I want to point out. Rob Font is going to have a 6-inch reach advantage, which is huge considering they're going to be striking for the majority of the fight. Rob Font in 22 fights has never been knocked out, which is huge considering I think there's going to be a knockout in this fight. Rob Font does land 5.21 significant strikes compared to Cody Garbrandt's 3.35, which is huge. And we're in the small cage, which I think is huge for Rob Font. Again, I think the bigger cage more so favors a guy like Cody Garbrandt who wants to stay on the outside, use that speed, but I think the smaller cage just favor a guy like Rob Font. Yeah, I'm pretty high on Rob Font here. I think he can knock out Cody Garbrandt. We know Cody Garbrandt's weakness is going to be that chin. He's been knocked out in all 3 of his losses. The chin's not there. He gets dropped in a ton of fights, and Rob Font has some serious power. Like, Rob Font's 33 years old, but this is the best Rob Font we've ever seen. I think he is in his prime right now, and I think he's hungry. I think he wins this fight by knockout. Garbrandt looked solid in his last fight against Assunção. I went back and watched it, and I wasn't like extremely impressed. You take a look at, well, the knockout was extremely impressive. It was extremely impressive, the knockout. But prior to that, he landed only 18 strikes in 9 minutes and 59 seconds of action. 18 strikes in about 2 rounds. Like, that's not going to fly against Rob Font. Is it going to fly against a guy in Assunção who he's old. He's like 38 years old, isn't he? Assunção, like 38. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, is it going to fly against Assunção? Yeah, probably. But will it fly against Rob Font, who wants to, push the pace, land a lot of strikes? No, it won't. So I think Cody is going to be forced into somewhat of a brawl, and his chin just doesn't allow that. His chin is not allowed to get into these brawls, these firefights. We've seen it time and time again. He gets knocked out. So yeah, I like Rob Font. 8,300, I like it. I'm all over that on DraftKings. Yes, I'll have some Garbrandt, but I'm mostly going to be on that Rob Font 8,300. As far as the money line goes, I don't mind it. Minus 110, it's a pick 'em each way. I don't know where the line's going to go throughout the week, but yeah, minus 110, I don't hate it. Another prop I like is Rob Font by knockout. Plus 160, plus 163, plus 150. It's not terrible if he wins. It's probably by knockout. Cody's never lost by decision. Cody's never lost by submission. Cody's 3 losses are by knockout. So, yeah, I'm pretty high on Font here. I think he does get the knockout. But, yeah, Garbrandt did look good in his last fight. He looked good against a 38-year-old Assunção. I forgot Assunção was like 38. I knew he was old, but I didn't know he was like 38. That's crazy. I thought he was like 35, to be honest. So that's insane. But, yeah, give me some Rob Font this week. Sandhagen versus Dillashaw confirmed again July 24th, but knowing UFC, if Garbrandt wins this weekend, he somehow gets the title shot. Man, I hope not. Aryuja at this point is a liability. She will never fix her cardio at this point. Yep, she'll always lose that 3rd round no matter what. Last time you said someone was 100%, I think you said he should put the gloves up if he lost. Who was that? Spencer, play on her, minus 130. Good line there if you can get it. You think Colby Northcutt could have a future in the UFC? Potentially. Or Garbrandt. I got fought in this one. Cody, no chin. Garbrandt. Yeah, the dude's chin is a huge liability. I think Font has got this. I'm scared of Cody's resurgence. Yeah, that's kind of the narrative, the Cody Garbrandt resurgence. But I went back and watched the fight, and yeah, he had a good knockout, but it looked like he was kind of fighting like really hesitant, like he wasn't throwing anything. I think Font's going to really, make him throw something, make him get into that war. All I Font to do is take Cody, but I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm a big Cody fan. It's just hard to, trust that chin. Rob Font is in his prime. Garbrandt is damaged goods. And it's crazy to say that because, Garbrandt's only like 29, but yeah, he's taking a ton of damage. even worse, 39 years old. So he outlanded a 39-year-old Asuncao by 2 strikes. 2 strikes, and it's some type of resurgence. But don't get me wrong, the knockout was fantastic. KO 3 times by only 2 guys. Dillashaw got him twice. That is true. He sure did. I rewatched Marias versus Font, and I can say Font's chin isn't enough to take a clean shot from Cody. So under 2.5 rounds, minus 120 works for me. I was looking at the under 2.5, the under 3.5. I think those are decent. But Font, 22 fights, and never been knocked out. I agree. The numbers pop in this fight. Font, 1.15% knockdowns per significant strike landed. Garbrandt gets knocked down on 1.68 of the significant strikes landed against him. That's super chinny for a bantamweight. I agree. Font, never been knocked down. The UFC, there you go. Never been knocked down. Could it be the first time? It maybe. Thanks for the parlays, guys. Going Edmen and Cody. Good luck. Cody wins. Maybe. I mean, if that chin holds up, I think he could win. I just didn't think he looked great in his last fight. Font looked good in his last fight, but against Marlon that had been KO'd only 2 months prior. That is very true. Spencer, Font, parlay. I would just play him straight. They're at good lines to just play him straight. No love, no chin, no technique. Cody beats Asuncao, and Asuncao beats Font. MMA math says Cody beats Font. Just kidding. Yeah, Asuncao did beat Font, but that was a few years ago. Fight not to go the distance. Good parlay piece. I guess I'm with you there. Edmund Jack not to go the distance. Yeah, I'm going to be looking at the under 2.5 in that fight. If I can get it like minus 165, minus 170, I'll take a look at the under 2.5 there. Who's got the heavier fist, Brady? I know Cody kid that bum. Asuncao with 1 shot killed that bum. Garbrandt's definitely the harder hitter in this fight. He's definitely the harder hitter, but he doesn't have the chin. He doesn't have the best chin. Yep, I think the jab will cause problems, especially with like a 6.5-inch reach advantage or a 6-inch reach advantage. I think it'll cause him a lot of problems in that fight. And I don't think Cody has the best chin. All right, yeah, we'll recap real quick, and then we'll get out of here. So up top, I'm liking, you got to play some Justin Tafa. It's a heavyweight fight. I think it has potential to end pretty early. Up top, I don't mind Jack Hermansson. I think Ben Rothwell is a solid DraftKings play, as crazy as that sounds. Like, he probably should score well. Bruno Silva, 9,300. I like him quite a bit. And then also sprinkle in some 9,500 Damir Ismagulov. I think he has potential to finish. Not going to go crazy on it. I think there's much better plays, but I think Damir is going to be super low owned, and he has potential for that finish, as Alves has never lost by decision. Some pump plays I'm really liking. I think Edmen Shahbazyan is going to be, for one, the most popular pump play on the slate by far. I'm going to have a ton of Shahbazyan for a really good reason. I think that Vanderaa 7,200 is a really good pump play. I think if he can't get this fight down to the mat, he has a significant advantage and can probably finish. So Shahbazyan, Vanderaa are my pump plays I'm looking at. If you want to sprinkle in guys like Alves, guys like Rodriguez, if they both win, first of all, nobody's going to have them. Second of all, they win by finish, but I'm not going to go there all that much. And then kind of the mid-range, I'm really liking Rob Font. I am liking, I think Bill Algeo, Ricardo Ramos is a good fight to target right in that mid-range. I think Claudia Silva is decent for that first run upside. But those are kind of the plays I'm looking at from a DFS perspective. But yeah, it should be a really good slate. I think it's a pretty solid slate here, pretty straightforward. Just target the right fights and hopefully you get that right lineup. Rob has 6-inch reach and better jabs. Yes, sir. I think that 6-inch reach advantage is going to be very important. It definitely could be. But like I said, I think the smaller cage does, help Font out quite a bit. I wouldn't put past Cody to be hurt by Rob's jab. Yeah, I'm with you. I do. I think he can finish Raphael. Raphael has been dropped multiple times. He's never lost by decision. The chin's not there. I think he could, which is like plus 225 for Ismagula by knockout, which is not terrible. Oh, yeah, Spencer on DraftKings as well. Yep, didn't touch on her, but yeah, I think she's hopefully sneaky. Hopefully she doesn't have much ownership, but yeah, I think Spencer's interesting. How many finishes do you? Not much. I can see a couple, 2, 3, 4, I guess like 5 or 6 maybe. Cody sleeps him in 2. Sorry, it's okay. It's okay. If he's the first one to knock out Font, that'd be very impressive. I'm going to parlay Bruno Silva. Same here. All right, guys. Thank you all for hanging out. Had a pretty good crowd tonight. If you guys can leave a like on your way out, also subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio. Go check out all the other live content throughout the week. I'll be back next week, Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. As always, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. My breakdown video is out for the full card already. Going to be doing a DraftKings video out tomorrow. My live stream is going to be out Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you all for hanging out once again, and good luck for UFC Vegas 27.